What's up, everybody? It's midweek, almost game time here at the Shoe. Been gone from the Shoe for a smooth month now. So it's I know our fans are itching to get back on High Street, Lane Avenue, and kick it and get ready for this game. But anyway, before y'all do anything, please hit that like button, that little thumbs up. Hit that for us. Also, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscription button right there. Boom. See it? Subscribe. Click it. Also, hit the bell for notifications. Whenever we go live, it'll pop up on your device so you can jump right in and enjoy the content. But we're going to be talking about the Penn State game, obviously, with it coming up. Excuse me. The 5 reasons Ohio State crushes Penn State this weekend. Yes, that's what we said. 5 reasons. Me and Nevada are going to collaborate on that. Looking forward to that. Also, remember, when you send your wonderful super chats full of great questions and phenomenal comments, I tip my cap to y'all. Best chat and best super chats. That's y'all. Anyway, remember, it helps go towards the Pay It Forward, which is our military and our first responders. We're going to look out for them because they always look out for us. Y'all know the mantra. Y'all know the drill. Y'all know what it is. Nevada, what's up, brother?
And we are a day closer to fall back. The daylight savings time edition of Buckeye Scoop moving to new time at 7:10 p.m. Eastern, starting Monday the 3rd. So you remember that was an oldie but a goodie. That's when we used to go. We moved it to 8:10. We're moving back to 7:10 starting Monday, November 3rd. So set your calendars, set your whatever you got, set your alarms, do it. But we're excited to go back to the 7:10 p.m. Eastern time slot. And I'm excited to see football in the Shoe. A month is just too long. It's been a month. That is just freaking crazy.
Absolutely.
And it's just too long. Can't wait to get after Penn State.
Me either, man. People keep, before we get into all of this, I mean, again, I have socials. I'm on socials. I have a Facebook page. People, give their comments and their fears and concerns and their thoughts. And, there's still people in Nevada wringing their hands about overlooking. I just saw a comment pop up. I hope we're not overlooking Penn State is what they said. And we hit on this last night. I just can't see it. I can't see it. I guess I'm saying this again to just try to encourage y'all that God forbid if we were to lose this game, which I highly doubt that's going to happen. We're not overlooking them. It's not because it's just something crazy happened. The whole team got mono or something the night before. Like, listen, we're not overlooking this Penn State team. We've went over the reasons from this game being such a great game for years, knowing this is Penn State's Super Bowl. We're back at home. Jim knows, who we showed last night. There's something there with this team, with the coaching staff and the players. We show receipts. You can go back and watch last night's show to show that there's some validity to the notion that there's, some an angle being used in the locker room to really get after Penn State with the nose effect and how he left. There's just other reasons. So they're not going to overlook this Penn State team, y'all. Ryan Day's track record of beating teams that he should beat. I just wanted to remind y'all and comfort you that this Ohio State team is not overlooking them, Nevada.
Well, yeah, and look, and it's been a crispy week of practice. I mean, it's been, you always look at that in terms of how are we doing, and we talk about it on the show in terms of when we feel like they're having a good week, when they're having a sloppy week, when they're up, when they're down. And I'm just telling you, they've been really sharp. It's been a sharp week of preparation. Loving what I'm hearing about the game plan. Loving what I'm hearing about, I think the guys are excited to be back in the horseshoe, and I expect a big effort. We'll obviously now we're not going on Friday, some other thing, but maybe I'm going to do my score prediction on Buckeye Scoop on Friday, so I'm not going to give that away, but I expect a big effort out of the Buckeyes on Saturday. And if preparation is any indication of future performance, I think the Buckeyes are going to be just fine this weekend.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, if I should give my score tonight. You think I should? I mean, because you said we're not going Friday, so I don't know. We'll see. I may give my score tonight as we end the show. But again, the topic is top 5 reasons Ohio State crushes Penn State. So we're as we give you our reasons, we'll flesh out our thinking, of where our minds are with this game as we explain our 5 reasons. So we can hop right into it. Nevada, how about I do 4 and what is it? Yeah, 4 and 2, and you start from 5 on up.
I'm going to start off with the big glaring elephant in the room, which is Penn State without. I mean, look, Duraller was asthma dude, but this guy that is replacing him is inexperienced and asthma dude. And so, you talk about different paths to Ohio State losing, and short of Penn State shutting us out, there's just, I mean, because they're only going to score maybe 6 points. You know what I'm saying? I think three's probably a better number. So I'm kind of foreshadowing my score prediction, but their deficiency at the quarterback position, quarterback in college football, at any level of football, is almost determinative of success. But at college, the college level is just so overpowered, and they're really lacking playmaking ability, in any type of downfield passing threat, and experience, and that would be a tall task against this Ohio State defense if you're the most experienced quarterback, let alone somebody who just doesn't have many live reps, doesn't have much game preparation, and is
Right.
going up against the number one defense in the country. So the number 5 reason why Ohio State's going to crush Penn State is just a massive talent gap between the Ohio State quarterback Julian Sayin, the Penn State quarterback situation right now with Drew Aller going down, and the fact that they're bringing in a young guy, a Columbus native, but a guy, or an Ohio native, but a guy that's um, just really hasn't thrown many passes, and I think he's just going to have a very, very difficult time of it on Saturday. And I think Penn State's going to really, really struggle to even sustain drives, let alone score points. Number 5 reason Ohio State crushes Penn State.
Now, me and Nevada did not talk backstage about our selections. Full disclosure. So it's funny that you say this because my number 4, it says stage will be too big for Grunkmeyer. I think he'll fold. And so that's my number 4. So not only is he going to be outclassed by Sayin, but I think he's going to him being from Columbus to me makes it even worse. Meaning the pressure on him, his inexperience, the pressure coming into the shoe, growing up a Buckeye fan, facing the Matt Patricia defense, looking at Arvell Reese and Caleb Downs pre-snap every play is terrifying. So I think he's going to turn the ball over twice. He's going to throw a pick. I think Jermaine Matthews is going to get another interception this game. And then I think he's going to fumble. There's going to be a strip sack. And I'm not sure who that strip sack is going to be by. I think it's going to be Reese. I think the werewolf Arvell Reese is going to strip him. Either that or Caden Curry. But I got him turning the ball over twice and just really not being able to handle the pressure of the game. So funny we haven't talked about it, but that's my number 4 is Grunkmeyer. Not just the fact that Aller's gone, because that's already a strike. You lost your starting quarterback. But I think the pressure is really going to get to Grunkmeyer in Nevada.
Well, yeah, and he just hasn't demonstrated. I mean, I'm sure they'll try to throw the ball down the field, but this is not really a good defense to be experimenting against, and
Right.
especially the way that they can bring pressure, and especially the way that the defensive line is kind of progressing. And I thought that, I mean, we've seen Drew Aller. You remember Drew Aller 2 years ago here in Columbus? That was one of the worst performances that I've ever seen. Ever. I mean, I don't remember what the stats ended up, but at one point, I think they had missed on like 15 consecutive third downs, and it was just like the killing fields out there, and I can't even imagine how it's going to be for a quarterback inexperienced, and have to come into this situation like that in Ohio. They could say, hey, they got nothing to lose. Hey, it's the local kid. Hey, it's a great story, but that stuff only works on like Disney movies or something like that. When the
Right.
real thing comes around, I think that's going to be really, really tough. So I like your 4th reason. I'm going to go with my 3rd reason now, though. I'm going to throw out my 3rd reason, and it's kind of related to 5 and 4, but it's kind of the ascension of the Ohio State defensive line and the increased emphasis on pass rush for this weekend.
Mm,
Part of the thing that Ohio State's been working on as part of this is kind of chapter two. Ryan Day's kind of divided the season into two chapters. Chapter one, obviously the first 7 games. Now we're getting into the second half, kind of this 5 game sprint leading up to the Big Ten championship game. They're really working to increase the pass rush. And you talk about the things that Matt Patricia's really worked on cooking up here in 2 weeks. What are going to be the biggest changes that you're going to see in the Ohio State team when they get out there against Penn State on Saturday? And I think it's going to be pass rush concepts. The things that they're doing with the pass rush that they've been, when you have this much time, the good news is you can introduce a lot of stuff and you can activate a lot of people and bring them in some interesting ways. That I think Ohio State's been a little dissatisfied with the pressure that they've been getting at for. I think some of the players have been a little dissatisfied with the amount of time that they've been able to get after it, as it were. I think they're going to unleash him. I think you're going to see a similar ascension in the pass rush to what we saw last year post Oregon, where we
yeah.
started getting after it a little bit more. I think they're going to start getting after it a little bit more. I think the guys are ready. They're like horses that have been in the barn and they're pulling at the bridle right now. I think they're going to let the horses run. And I think the defensive line is really going to take a big step forward, attack mode on Penn State. And reason number three why Ohio State beats Penn State, it crushes them on Saturday, the ascension of the Ohio State defensive line.
I like it. I like it. Yeah. Definitely time to step up with the pressure and the sacks. All right. So my number two, and let me see exactly what I put down. Breakout rushing game from Ohio State. Coming off a bye week, I think Isaiah West, you will see the reps. I think he's earned the reps. We're hearing he's earned the reps. The coaches, it wasn't just us who saw it. The coaches took notice. He's being wrapped into the game plan. I don't know if he's going to get Bo Jackson carries, but you'll see him. And I think with the Padilla and Tegra, like everything is being worked on and worked out, y'all. But not only that, Penn State, okay, they are the number 90 rushing defense in the country. They gave up 269 to UCLA. Let me make sure. Yeah, 269 to UCLA, and they gave up 245 to Iowa. Okay, they're not good against the run. So they can be ran on. So the combination of Ohio State putting emphasis on getting the run game to where it needs to be, finding something with Isaiah West, because to me that's crucial. Because you got Bo Jackson, right? He's still young though, and as good as he is, he's still young. But to have Isaiah West, who clearly he sees it, like we say, he falls forward, breaks tackles, he gets north, he's hard to tackle. I think that's going to bolster the run game along with more consistency with the O-line, figuring out that right guard situation. And then Penn State has shown that they're very vulnerable against the run. And so I think we're going to see a breakout run game. I'm not saying we're going to run for 350 yards, but I think we're going to run for 200 yards. Watch and see. 200 yards is my prediction. And to me, that is going to be a big reason why we crush Penn State, because we know we can throw the ball, but that's just really going to demoralize them, Nevada. That's my number two.
Well, I think it's a great one. And, a little inside baseball here. The bye week has done wonders for a number of groups, but never for any, or not for any group more than the running back room. The running back room's been a little banged up. Some of the stuff that they haven't really been talking about, but they're as healthy now as they've been all season. And I think what you're going to see is Ohio State with these new running game concepts. They've been really kind of focusing. There's some personnel changes up front. We've talked about Padilla getting some more run there with Tegra, asking for Tegra to be a little bit more consistent. Some of the things they're doing in terms of spreading out, some of the things they're doing in terms of the counteraction, the pulling, the trapping, and then you throw on top of that a healthy running back room. I agree with you. I think the rushing attack is going to take a big step forward against the Penn State defense that they seem to have been proficient against the pass, but I think it's just because they played against teams that don't pass the ball very well. But teams
Yeah.
have certainly been able to run it against them. and teams have been able to run it, early and often, and I think Ohio State will do that as well. So that's good for number two. I'm going to go with the number one reason is because coaching matters, and it's Ryan Day versus Terry Smith. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah,
Terry
it's
Smith,
good.
an interim head coach at Penn State versus Ryan Day, who you mentioned in kind of the preamble. Nobody in the history of college football has been better at getting teams ready for these types of games than Ryan Day. In my opinion, just an editorial, I think he's the best coach in all of college football, and I'm not sure that there's really many people that are even in the same class. I mean, Kirby Smart, and maybe that's it. So I think Ryan's a young guy operating with a ton of confidence at the absolute pinnacle of his profession right now, with a really great understanding and connection with his team against the Terry Smith. And look, do I think Penn State will come in and give a spirited effort? Of course, they're Penn State. They have pride. They've got some players. They're not talentless by any stretch of the imagination. But a guy, Terry Smith coming in to try to take down the number one team in the country. There's a reason why everybody doesn't win in college football. It's not easy to do it. Coaching is not easy, and that's why
Yeah,
the good coaches get paid so much money. So the idea that you could just hand a guy who's never been a head coach before, make him the head coach, you went from wide receiver coach to head coach of the entire team, and you're going to turn the team around and come in and upset the Buckeyes again. Great story for a Disney movie or Lifetime channel or something like that. I think in
right.
real life, I think Ohio State's got a huge, huge, huge edge from a coaching perspective, and that's my number one reason why Ohio State rolls and crushes Penn State on Saturday.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. And again, we did not talk. I think that flowed pretty seamlessly. Like we just it married up pretty well. I'll add a bonus honorable mention. The maturity of our players in this team will not allow us to overlook Penn State. When you have guys like Caleb Downs on your team, and it's crazy the world we live in now, where you have podcasts and you got players during the season doing podcasts, talking about the games. That's just think about that. 10 years ago, that wasn't happening. You know what I'm saying? Now that's happening. You got Caleb Downs on the podcast with Julian Sayin talking about the games, and like just hearing Caleb Downs, he was asked about the Penn State game, and he said, "We're not like he." I'm paraphrasing, but he was saying, "We're not going to let that happen. We're not going to overlook them." And so when you have such a mature coach on the field who's also a dog, and then a Sonny Styles, and like just add that on top of it, because to me, the only thing that could really affect this game negatively for us is if we did overlook them, and it's just not going to happen, y'all. It's not going to happen. They'll be ready. They know what this game is, and so that excites me, Nevada. But yeah, you know that number one is absolutely the coaching, flat out, man. I love that.
Well, it is, your point about the team being a mature team. I mean, it is a mature team, and you always look at the team leaders. You can always look at team leadership to know kind of what kind of team that you have. And when it's kind of like when Terrell Pryor was there. I mean, Terrell Pryor was a great player, a transcendent talent, but not a great leader. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't a
Yeah,
great. Guys didn't really want to follow him. They respected him. They admired him. They were in awe of his athletic ability, but he wasn't like a guy that really kind of engendered people that wanted to kind of follow over the hill, and he was kind of aloof, and he kind of had his own thing kind of going on, and he was a little loose, and I look at that kind of like when I look at Michigan right now. I look at who's the leader of that team is Fats Underwood, and it's like, is that the guy you want? What I'm saying? Is that a dependable guy? Is that a guy that you
taking
can really?
selfies during the game.
Yeah, I mean that's who it is, and I look at it where for Ohio State, you're right. I mean, we don't have a ton of veteran leadership on the team, but the guys that have kind of stepped up and been forward, and they're just all such impressive young men, and I think enough. I was listening to Carson Hinsman. I don't know how have you listened to Carson Hinsman
Yes,
much?
yes, I love
Oh,
him.
oh my goodness gracious. I mean, that guy might be like one of the most impressive guys that you'll ever be. He's just like what a great representative for
Yeah.
all that's good in college football and it's all that's right about Ohio State football, Carson Hinsman he just represents it all. And these are the guys we have leading this Ohio State team. And I always look for teams when they're going to be upset or not ready or overlooking or whatever it is, it's because they're cocky, they're focused on other things, they're distracted by outside influences. And this team just seems like it's really serious and all about business. You know what I'm saying? You're not hearing about any off-field distractions. We're not, even the guy who's like the highest profile guy on the team, JJ Smith. You know, I, JJ's all about ball. I mean, I
Yeah.
think JJ is a guy that, it'd be really easy for him to get distracted by all the glim and glash and all the millions of dollars and the promotions and stuff like that. But he just won't allow himself to get there. Like that kid is serious, and he's the hardest worker on the team. He's the first one in, the last one out. And I think when you have guys like that on your team, I just think it doesn't lend itself to be in a situation where you have letdowns.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be this team's not going to let down. This team's not going to overlook, and I think you're going to see that kind of. That's not to say that we won't get beat, because teams get
Right.
beat all the time for that, but it won't be because we weren't ready, we weren't prepared, or we were overlooking an opponent. I just don't think that team's capable of doing this.
Yeah, I'm glad you expanded or expounded on the leadership of the team because I think that's a great point. Because we mentioned the Caleb Downs and even last year Abuka Henderson, but you're right, man. Like Hinsman is great. Again, I listened to all the interviews, and it's like I haven't really mentioned other guys like that. So I'm glad you did it. Jeremiah Smith, he may not be the vocal leader. He's like he doesn't say much, but he's still a leader by what he does, and just a great kid. And we just have great kids who are so focused and mature, and so that matters, man, when it comes to games like this and having the week to week, mentality of seriousness to not get caught up in a bunch of foolishness and having your priorities together. But like you said, Nevada, and you gave the great example of like, it starts from the head down. If your family has good morals and good, whatever, it starts from, the leadership down. You were talking about Ryan Day. It starts from Ryan Day down and the coaches. And it's just a mature team. Even though some of them are young, they're still mature. Even Julian Sayin, he's just a machine. He's just a young surfer boy, Cali boy, who is about ball. And you just got a bunch of kids like that on the team who you don't have to worry about. Like, man, I hope you don't get into trouble this weekend. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something to really appreciate. So that matters. All of that matters. These are the reasons why I don't worry about things like overlooking a team. Again, these are young men. They're not perfect. There's good teams out there who practice and fight and all that other stuff too. So that's not saying we can't lose a game. I'm saying that the chances of us overlooking an opponent that's overmatched or has a bad record according to, the ranking, that I think that is less likely because of all these points we're making, Nevada.
Well, yeah, and I think you look for your key spots, like you said. You look to your head coach, you look to your quarterback, you look to your captain on the defense. You know what I'm saying? You look at your key spots and saying, do you have stability there? Are these guys that are solid guys, leaders of men, good inspiration? You know what I'm saying? Because not everybody is. And you look at it, and again, I'll just size it up next to Michigan. And it's like, we've got Caleb Downs, Julian Sayin, and Ryan Day, and over there they've got, I guess, Barham on defense, Underwood, and Sharon Moore. And it's like, oh man, I mean, and you wonder why that's a rudderless vessel over there, and you
Yeah.
wonder why we're such a steady thing. And having Julian, Julian came in as a big question mark. During the offseason, we talked so much about the quarterback position and the quarterback derby, and what type of play we're getting out of the quarterback. And I talked to an NFL guy today, and he was talking about Julian. And let's put aside his California cool and his unflappable nature and his playing like a senior, even though he's a redshirt freshman. It's like there's just some mechanical things that he does that the NFL guys are just in awe. And one of the things he was talking about that you see it, but I hadn't really kind of put together. He goes, he gets the ball out on time every time.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, I understand. He goes, but he goes, you don't understand. He goes, that enables that means for the offensive linemen, they know what they don't have to block forever. You know what I'm saying? Like that, they can just, the receivers know that the ball is going to come out on time. The linemen know that the ball is going to come out on time. He's not he doesn't just drop his head at the first sign of pressure and fall down and go into the fetal position and take us out. He does all these little things. His pocket presence, his awareness, his mobility. That when you combine that with this laser-like accuracy, the big arm, the ability to come over the top of the ball, the spin rate, the velocity, like when you put all that together, it's like I mean, I honestly believe he'll be the first pick in the draft. I think when he comes out, Julian Sayin is going to be the first pick in the draft, and I think he's a franchise quarterback. And I never felt that. Look, I think Will Howard was a great college quarterback. Great emphasis on the word great college quarterback. Um, but you know, I think he'll have a career in the NFL, but I'm not sure how good of a starting quarterback he'll be in the NFL. Maybe he'll turn out to be good, but I think he'll at least hold a clipboard for a lot of years in the NFL. But I mean, Julian can be Joe Burrow. Why can't Julian be Joe Burrow? I
Yeah.
mean, Joe Burrow wasn't Joe Burrow until his senior year. Joe Burrow after his junior year was looking at becoming an undrafted. His draft projection was undrafted free agent, and then he went to number one pick in the draft. Now, Julian Sayin is just so good, and he's got multiple years of college eligibility left. It's crazy to think about how good he's going to be. But NFL teams are like they've taken notice, and I believe it with a big week. If he comes out and has a big weekend this weekend, we continue to roll. I'm telling you, he's going to be in the Heisman conversation. We talked about that preseason. I said we'd have two Buckeyes. Remember our crazy predictions? And I said we'd have two Buckeyes in New York at the
Yeah.
Heisman thing, and J.J. Smith
Yep.
and Julian Sayin, and I think people were kind of like, "Ha ha, Nevada, that's kind of crazy talk." That could happen.
You
That could
could.
that could very well happen. I think they're the two best players in college football, and they happen to both be on the Buckeyes. But name me a player better than Julian Sayin or J.J. Smith.
You can't.
Ty Simpson, Fernando Mendoza. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to bring up the saying clip. Excuse me, clip while you were talking about him, and I'm glad you mentioned the getting the ball out quick because people just downplay. The haters have been out trying to say we're not playing anybody. It's not impressive. Man, his footwork and his ability, his quick release, and to get the ball out is just phenomenal, and it's not talked about enough. And so I'm looking forward to him slicing up Penn State this Saturday in the shoe. Ryan Day has been allowing him to go more and more and more. We've been seeing the reins being loosed, against Minnesota, at Wisconsin, and it's going to happen again against Penn State. And so I cannot wait for that. I'm super excited about that. But yeah, man. Julian Sayin is that dude, and he's only going to get better. He's only played 8 games. What is it? 7 games, 7-0. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. So but yeah, go ahead. You gonna say something?
Well, I just think that with Julian, I mean, yeah, it's 7 games. I mean, I mean, he's played as many games as Underwood. I mean, Underwood's played 7 games. He's played 7 games. You know, like the idea. I mean, the trajectory that this guy's on, it's just crazy. And you always talk about expanding the playbook, and what I'm hearing is, obviously they've been giving him a lot of opportunities on the RPO game. He reads, if they're light in the box, he passes, or runs. If they're heavy in the box, he passes. If he's got the overhang, he's got a decision to make. But they're expanding his right to audible on top of that. So it's like he's going to have more control of the off. And the fact that he's a redshirt freshman quarterback going into his 8th game, he's going to have as much command of the offense as Troy Smith did his senior year at Ohio State. That's where
Correct.
he's at as a
Yeah.
processor, and that's crazy to think about, man. That just shows you what type of esteem that Julian's saying is held in by this OSU coaching staff. They just they everything they give him, he processes, handles, and dishes right back. So they're ready to give him more.
Yep. And he's number 10, which I love. Love it. Would love to see him at least in New York. I think he's going to deserve it. And I think with the remaining schedule and the trajectory this team is on, man, I think we're going to look at the numbers at the end of the season and just be in awe. And I know we got some games to go, but I cannot wait for this team to trot out on that field in the big blouse. I cannot wait. All right, we got some super chats we can jump into. Let's see here. We got Sheen's Money 385. Thanks for the 5. We ride at noon. Yes, we do. Now listen, I'd rather ride at night at 7:30 this week against Penn State. I've been wanting a night game against Penn State for a while. I think the last one we had was what? Trey Henderson's freshman year, I believe. Yeah, I think so. And so, but fair enough. We ride at noon. Let's get to it. I'm just happy to be back in the shoe, Nevada.
Yeah, well, what's the latest on the B Moses weather report? The B
Yeah,
the
let's
B for
check
Bug Moses weather report right there.
the weather bug. Let's see.
The weather. What does the weather bug having to say?
All right. So it went up a degrees. Yesterday it
Okay.
was 54, partly cloudy. Now it's 55. So look at that. A height 1 degrees higher. So nice and cool and crisp in the shoe. So the Nittany kittens can, get blood bath in a nice cool environment. I
I
like it.
love it. So, but that moderate winds, I take it, a little moderate wind activity there. So
Let me see if
our
there's any.
our passing game will not be affected.
Yeah, very low. Not going to be very windy according to this, but fronts can come through, and we'll see if anything changes. But no, the wind looks fine now, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, no, it's look. I mean, yeah, I know some people laugh about the weather and stuff, but I'll take good weather as much as we can for this team because I think weather can sometimes be the great equalizer. You saw last week, and I'm not blaming just the weather, but Wisconsin went up to Oregon in a
Yeah,
driving rainstorm, and the game finished what 21-7 or whatever it
yeah,
was, and weather can change things. It just fast guys aren't as fast, so they're slipping and falling, and weird things happen, or defensive backs can fall down, and I mean, I just think bad weather injects all sorts of strange outcomes into something on a small sample size, and we want to avoid that. So if we can avoid that for another week, man, I'm all about that.
yeah. Agreed. Give me the chili is. I'm not worried about that. Wind and rain is the two issues. None of that. We good. Like, give me snow flurries over rain, over cold rain as well. Like, yeah, straight up. All right, D Sunny, thanks for the 4.99. I see Matt Patricia on the sideline. Do you think sideline coordinators just love the feeling and energy on the sideline? Yes. I know Matt Patricia has been a sideline coach for his entire career, I believe he said. And now you got the little pads on the sideline where he always brings it. He loves that, Nevada. He loves that they have the pads on the sidelines to look at the play real time. So now you got that as well. And so yeah, I think he loves the energy. Like Ryan Day always says, look his guys in the eye. And so I love it. It's great that he's on the sideline, especially with how engaging he is with his players, Nevada.
Well, I think that's it. I think, the fact that he's got such a connection with the guys, being down there. Now, I'm not going to lie. I have no idea how he does it from the sidelines
Yeah.
because as much football as I've watched and I've coached and I've refed and I've been there and played, and from the sidelines, it looks like a giant mosh pit to me. I have no idea what's going on. Now, when I
Yeah.
get an above view, oh, I see some. It's like stealing when you're above. So
Right.
I don't know how he does it, but somehow he does. So do I wish he was in the box? I do wish he was in the box, but maybe that's just me recognizing my own limitations because I just don't understand. And I've asked people about it. I've asked much smarter people, much more experienced people than I am. Like, can you really tell what's going on from the sideline? Like I can't, but somehow Matt Patricia can. And that's crazy, but he's figured out a way to do it, and I applaud him. But I don't even know how he sees like on the other side of the field, like the stuff that's going on the other side of the line when you're on this side. How can you tell what's going on? And so you maybe with mass communications, maybe with a good
Yeah.
guy upstairs that can get down to him on stuff that he's looking for, and he knows what keys he's looking for. But man, he's a wizard that he can do it for the sideline. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, I suspect that they have a really good communication set up to where he trusts his eyes in the sky to tell him, what they're in, what formations they're in, what's happening real time, so that he can address it accordingly. But whatever it is working, obviously. But no, to your point, I agree. I'm like, how? But clearly he got it rolling. So and I love it. I'm glad he's on the sideline, man, with his energy. But
Well, B for you, can you tell what's going on for the sideline? Can you
oh,
like, I
that's what
was
I'm
gonna
saying.
say,
Like I'm like, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. Like if Kenyatta Jackson's the defensive end of this, I couldn't tell you if Kenyatta's doing a good job or a bad job or
Right,
getting beat up or whatever. Not from the sideline, again, not from up top. I can tell you,
right.
and But yes, the fact that he's able to figure out what he wants communicated to him, what he needs to see, what he needs to hear from other people above and beyond, other sides, or on the thing. I'm in absolute awe of everything he does. That's the thing I'm probably the most in awe of is how he figures that out because it's completely it looks like just chaos to me, but he must see a symphony out there.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's got it. I mean, he has that experience. I don't know. Maybe maybe one of the fat guys in the media can ask him a question about that, and then he can explain how he does it. Did another super chat come in? Yeah, it did. Lisa, what's up, homie? Saying Heisman bid may indicate lots of airing it out, but Penn State horrid run defense indicates working on run game, or will it be a balanced attack? Um, yes, I think we're going to look to run the ball. If Penn State wants to overload the box and just sell out to stop the run, similar to what Illinois was doing. Illinois, they were really like just crashing down and just, I mean, they were just run. They were doing a lot of run blitzing at times, just penetrating, just firing off at the hole and selling out for the run from that regard. So if Penn State wants to do that, then the pass is going to be there. It's pick your poison. It doesn't matter. You're going to die a death. Is it going to be a slow death, a quick death? It doesn't matter. And then of course the RPO game was cooking against Wisconsin. So it's either way you slice it, we'll adjust, Nevada.
Yeah, I think it's totally going to be dependent on what kind of defense that Penn State's going to play. And I think, they're going to try to play that overhang where that
Yeah.
extra guy kind of, that kind of that Darren Lee kind of position where he kind of shades it. He's kind of showing it. He's in the box, but he's out there on the outside. And, they're going to try to disguise as much possible. And it's really going to be up to, Julian Sayin to kind of figure it out and count the bodies and do a good job of that. I mean, obviously Ryan wants to be balanced, but I think that the stuff that I'm hearing from the self scouting and the stuff that I'm hearing from the practice, I think they're really leaning into the fact that they're pass first. I really do. I really think that they're comfortable running a controlled West Coast offense kind of passing game where they'll systematically march down the field 7, 8 yards at a time if that's what you want to give up. And they're comfortable doing it. And they feel like they've got a quarterback. What kills that is if your quarterback's inaccurate. You know what I'm saying? If your
Yeah.
quarterback misses the pass on first down, now it's 2nd and 10, you're behind the chains, and it's harder to operate like that way. But Julian's been so accurate, and our receivers are so good at catching the ball that he keeps us on schedule, and so we're able to execute a controlled passing game, and not a lot of teams can do that. So I think for Ryan, I think they're leaning into that as a pass first thing, but I think it will be dictated by what the defense presents to us because Ohio State feels they can operate at either level, rushing or passing against Penn State.
Yep. And so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and give my score prediction. I got 38-9 Buckeyes in the shoe. I'll give them a late couple of field goals, and it's going to be a bloodbath, a long overdue bloodbath. Grunkmeyer will be overwhelmed. Knowles will be confounded. And Julian Sayin will have 250 yards passing, 2 passing touchdowns. The rest will be rushing. And so that's my prediction. I know you said you're going to wait till Friday, Nevada, on the scoop board, but that is
It
my prediction.
38-9. 38-9. I like it. I like it. It's bold, but you're a bold guy. B for bold. Bold Moses. You know what I'm
That's
saying? But I
me.
like that. I like that about you. But yeah, the betting spread is 20.5. I know some people on our board, there's a lot of obviously active discussion about that stuff all the time. And a lot of people thinking the game's going to be closer. I don't think the game's going to be particularly close. I mean, like all games are close in the first quarter, maybe in the first half or whatever it is. But I think ultimately, I think Ohio State definitely covers the spread. And um, you always like betting a 20.5 point favorite if you feel like the other team can't score, because
Right.
then it's just really incumbent upon you to get to 24 or something like that, and you're going to cover. I think that's the situation that we're in with Penn State. I think Penn State's going to struggle mightily to move the ball on Saturday. I really, really think they're going to have a problem. And if they turn it over, then it could really get ugly.
Yep, I agree. They're just not going to be able to move the ball consistently. That's just a flat out truth. And so we'll pour it on. And like I said, I got Gronkmeyer 2 turnovers, fumble, and a pick. That's my prediction. So there you go. There you have it. So listen, Buckeye Scoop family, love you. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Buckeye Nation, love you. Let's get ready for another dub. And as we close out, I just want to say again, appreciate what we have as Buckeye fans, y'all. There are teams who are losing and struggling with 3 and 4 teams and not, winning games they should win and all the other crap. We're going to beat Penn State, okay? And we'll advance to 8-0. Appreciate it. Appreciate what's happening. And enjoy being a Buckeye fan. All right? We out. Peace. Go Bucks.